Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Young Global Changers Recoupling Awards, where we recognize young people from around the world who have come up with brilliant, innovative and effective ideas to enhance their societies, to give voice to local communities, to improve our climate and to contribute to economic prosperity. It's going to be an immensely inspiring and empowering session. I'm Declan Curry, I'm a journalist and broadcaster. I'm delighted to be the moderator and the master of ceremonies and to share the excitement of the next 90 minutes with you. The first person I want to introduce to you is someone who's well known to many of our participants today because he's already done so much of the organising towards today's event. Welcome from Global Solutions, my co-moderator, Ole Spies. Ole, good morning to you. We're all familiar with programmes like The X Factor or Stars in Their Eyes or The Voice. This feels like The Economist. What is this about?
For that kind introduction, Declan. So let me start by saying thank you to a few people and organizations that made this event possible. Thank you very much to the German Federal Environmental Foundation, PwC, the Friedrich Ebert Foundation, Mercator Foundation and Open Society Foundation, without whom this wouldn't be possible, excuse me. So secondly, I want to thank the over 500 applicants that applied for this award. They're from all around the world, and the 50 semi-finalists who are joining us, hopefully virtually on their screens. I also want to thank our wonderful jury, and of course the 10 finalists who we'll meet in just a few minutes, and you will learn about their projects. Special thanks, of course, go to our president, Professor Dennis Snower. Thank you, Dennis, for the support. And to our special guest today, Professor Jeffrey Sachs. So what is the session about? Very, very briefly. With the awards, we would like to honor youth-led projects that have an impact on the ground, but that can also serve as examples beyond their immediate impact. Examples for recoupling our economies, our politics, policies with the needs of people and the environment. And I'm very much looking forward to sharing the wonderful projects with you.
Well, thank you very much. Well, we now have the great honour of welcoming our special guest, Professor Jeffrey Sachs. He's a celebrated expert on sustainability, economic development and the global fight against poverty. President of the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network, helping to turn those strategic development goals into concrete achievements. An advisor to UN Secretaries General and Director of the Centre for Sustainable Development at Columbia University in New York. Welcome, please, Jeffrey Sachs.
Ole, thank you very much. Declan, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it's really wonderful to be part of a celebration and award ceremony for young people making solutions. This is the only way we're going to fix the world, by the way. You guys, young people, please take over quickly. It's not working with the old people. They don't get it. And the truth is, we need so much change. We need to do things in new ways. And maybe some can be young at heart, even at old age, but unfortunately, the world is in the grips not only of older people, but older people with old ideas. And 20th century ideas, well, it's time to move on. And so I really want to celebrate what young people using new approaches, new technologies, facing new challenges can do. And it's really a pleasure and honor for me as part of the Sustainable Development Solutions Network, sharing solutions with GSS. This is the crucial point. Get something done. To say that we will champion your champions, that we will help to promote the awardees and their solutions all over the world through our network. We have a Sustainable Development Solutions Network youth movement. I would like to put people together with that because that is young people, thousands around the world in the more than 1,500 campuses of the universities that are members of SDSN. So we have a very good reach. We have an annual Vatican Youth Summit. I'd like to invite the awardees to that for the next session so that that reaches out to a very broad movement as well. And I'd like to draw your attention just finally to one of the targets, one of the 168 targets of our 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and that's Target 4.7. Target 4.7 under SDG 4, Universal Quality Education for All, says that every learner in the world, that should mean every human being in the world, by the way, because everybody better be learning all the time. Every learner in the world should learn about sustainable development and global citizenship. This is not the current situation, actually. We're seeing it in our New York schools where I live, or New Jersey. They're not learning. The young people are not being taught right now about climate change, for example, in the schools. It's not part of the curriculum. Everything we're trying to accomplish, we're trying to say, do this, think this, but the schools are really an important way to help empower people so that you can make all of the great solutions. So Target 4.7 says everybody should be doing it. We've launched in SDSN a Mission 4.7. Mission 4.7 is to try to get Target 4.7 actually achieved. And Pope Francis has brought the Vatican in, and UNESCO, with its global leadership in education, is a partner, and former Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, whom I had the great honor to serve as a special advisor on the Sustainable Development Goals, is promoting this because a lot of this was his idea and his incredible diplomatic capacity to get achieved. And I would love GSS and the young awardees to join this movement as well, to think about ways that you can go back to your Minister of Education or local school administrators in the districts and say, we need to bring these issues into our understanding, because how many change makers can there be around the world? There can be thousands, millions, if empowered with the knowledge, and young people know the tools a lot better than the old people. I call my 6-year-old granddaughter to ask her why my computer isn't working, and she says, Grandpa, press Alt, whatever it is. So you guys know how things work. Really, we want to help empower you to do this. Today is a celebration of that empowerment. I was hearing about the solutions, wonderful solutions. I'm a great a coffee drinker, inveterate coffee drinker, I would say, but also working with the global coffee industry on sustainability. So I understand one of the awardees has solutions for coffee, which is incredibly exciting. I need to grab and understand that, and we have exciting solutions in many other areas. So I'm all ears, but I just wanted to have the moment to say, we're behind you, we support you, this is a fantastic initiative. Congratulations to all of the applicants, by the way, the hundreds. All of them, I'm sure, have great things that we ought to be doing to help. And the 60 finalists and the 10 awardees and the... Congratulations, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Sachs. Thank you so much.
Jeffrey Sachs, thank you very much. All right, thank you. We will see from you, hear more from you a little bit later as well. Now, we saw hundreds of magnificent, wonderful, transformative projects in the course of these awards. From all of those entries from all around the world, 50 semi-finalists were selected, and they will all join the global network of young changemakers. Today, the most promising 10 of those projects will present their ideas and activities to a jury. And the top 3 selected by the jury here today will get big cash prizes. So let's meet our jury. They are Caterina Lima de Miranda, Guillaume Lafortune, and Ibrahim. Welcome, the 3 of you, to the judging box. Caterina is from the New Institute, Germany. Guillaume is from the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network, and Abir is the Young Global Changers Africa Ambassador. Welcome to the 3 of you. Abir, what are you hoping to hear or to see today?
Yeah, just going through the awardees and the different innovations, it was incredibly inspiring to see how many young people are driving in their own communities. And I'm just here to learn a little bit more about what inspired you and why you're here today.
And Caterina, what are you looking out for?
Well, I'm absolutely thrilled to be here and see all these young people engaged in really putting the idea of recoupling forward and putting it into practice on the ground. So like coming from the academic side, I think it's so exciting to have people actually implementing stuff. And I think all the projects are just amazing.
And Guillaume, that's such an important point, and it came up in the discussion we were having yesterday about measurement and the definition of new prosperity, that you need those practical projects on the ground to deliver progress with the Sustainable Development Goals, of which you have such an interest.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what's so impressive with all of the projects, this ability of all those young innovators to identify a problem and then find a concrete and effective solution for it. And that's what we need for the SDGs and for finding solutions to the challenges of our time. So I think this session is really bringing a bit of a positive note in the middle of all, the gloomy context and so on, that there are solutions that can help move forward on the SDGs.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, here's how it is going to work today. We have 10 projects. We will, for each of them, first of all, see a little video clip identifying and highlighting the salient points of the project. Then the finalists from that project will take the stage. They will answer some questions from our jury for a limited amount of time, and then we say thank you to them and we move on to the next one. There will be no more than 5 minutes for each of the finalists in terms of their video and their questioning. We will make sure that they get a roughly equal amount of time to be fair and to be impartial amongst all 10 of them. So let us start at the first project, and that is EcoFresh. It's a sustainable cold chain solution to help reduce post-harvest losses. Let's see the video.
In sub-Saharan Africa, smallholder farmers are losing up to 40% of all harvested produce before getting to consumers. Just in my pilot community here in Ghana, over 7,000 farmers are losing nearly $2 million every year due to post-harvest losses. This problem inspired us to start EcoFresh. Our innovation is a solar-powered cold storage preservation technology that extends shelf life of perishable crops from the usual 5-day period to 21 days, helping them reduce losses by 50%.
Let's give a big welcome now to Matthias Charles Yabe. Welcome. And members of the jury, if you'd like to ask your questions.
Should I go first? Okay.
Please do.
I really like your project. It's really easy to grasp what kind of problem it tackles. I was wondering, how do you see the impact on the community through your project?
Thank you very much. In designing my project, we took into consideration the triple bottom line accountability framework, which has to do with the social, environmental, and economic impact of our solution. With our social impact, we've been able to empower women by giving them training on technical details as to how to maintain solar equipment. And after that, we employ them to take positions as storage unit managers at the storage centers. With our environmental impact, we are helping reduce food waste carbon emissions. And I'm very proud to let you know that each cold room we set up is reducing up to 16 tons of CO2s every month. With our economic impact, I'm proud to let you know that we are helping farmers reduce losses by 50%, which is boosting their income. Just last farming season, we were able to increase farmer sales by 150%. Thank you.
Wow. Impressive.
So my question to you, Matthias, this is incredible. What inspired you to want to create this solution in your community?
At the age of 13, I was diagnosed with a lower back pain disease. I faced this health crisis because I was working so hard on my parents' farm without mechanized technologies, doing pre- and post-harvest activities. So in 2018, when I got enrolled in the university, I joined a volunteer activity, which exposed me to this very first community I'm working in. And I realized that the problem of post-harvest losses was very detrimental to them. So looking at my background was enough motivation for me to develop an idea or a solution to help them reduce losses.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. Phenomenal technical innovation to fix an important problem around food waste. I was just wondering, what are some of the challenges that you still face, and what would you need to continue to increase and expand your impact?
Thank you. So some of the challenges we face at the very beginning has to do with lack of electricity, and that gave us an informed decision to run our technology fully on solar panels, because the energy poverty gap is something that needs to be bridged. In Ghana, there are still about 3 million people who do not have access to electricity, and that gave us more informed decisions to run on solar panels. So at the very beginning, we realized that most of these farmers were not having access to electricity, and that was quite difficult to deploy cold chain in these areas. So that was the very first challenge. And what we need to accelerate more impact has to do with partnerships, government partnerships, local Ministry of Food and Agriculture, that will help us identify more communities within the region and provide us with the necessary technical resources to deploy it nationwide.
So what is the next stage? The next stage for your project is what?
Yes. So right after completing this pilot, what we have to do is that we've identified 2 major marketplaces in Ghana, as well as 2 major farming communities that we are going to expand to. And hopefully, we are hoping to reach these people and impact up to 15,000 smallholder farmers and traders in the next 3 years.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your presentation. Congratulations on your success so far, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Congratulations. The second project of the day is the Origin Learning Fund. This is a not-for-profit learning app that gives rural communities access to digital learning opportunities. Let's see the video.
Hi, I am Tania Rosas. I am the co-founder of Origin Learning Fund and the OLAP app. OLAP is a monitoring, evaluation, and learning system that contains a customizable platform and app that works on and offline in low-cost devices and can be adapted to any language, any culture, any context, and any content. By working with corporations and organizations worldwide, OLAP helps young people to further their education, develop technical and digital skills required to thrive in this modern economy.
And from Colombia, welcome please, Tania Rosas. And members of the jury, over to you.
Well, thank you so much. Really nice project, empowering young people and those who usually maybe don't have that access that they would have if there wasn't your project. And I really like that you can use it offline as well. Now, I think the most important question maybe is, how do you actually motivate these people to use it and to know about the project and the app?
Thank you so much. So all the content that we create in the app is tailor-made, created with the young people itself. Like they asking us what they want to learn and how do they see themselves in 5 years from the beginning of the project in each community. So then we partner with corporations to create content that is related to what they want to do, like what they want to create and all the vocational skills. So that's how we are working on empowering communities to lead their own solutions and to, lead their own future. So it's not like an app that they just download. We work with the community. All of our programs are community-based. So
already in the initial stage, you involve the community and develop the content that they want.
Yes.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Fantastic. Tanya, how are you?
Excited.
Good. So, education and e-learning in general is something that I'm also very passionate about. So this really resonated with me. And one thing that I'm actually curious about is when we're talking about rural communities and access to, oftentimes connectivity in those communities is very low. We're talking about maybe less than 30% of South America's population actually has access to internet. So how do you penetrate access? How do you get to reach the people that you want to reach to make sure that this content is accessible to them?
Yeah. So, our project started in 2015 out of my community. I come from the indigenous region of Colombia, and we don't have access to internet. We don't even have access to electricity, clean water, those kind of things. So our platform was created to work in low-tech devices that don't require much electricity and also that don't require access to internet. So it can work everywhere.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dania, congratulations, phenomenal project and innovation. Question on how do you measure your success and the effectiveness?
Yeah. Thank you so much. Well, that's a huge part of our work because OLAP is a monitoring and evaluation system that allows each corporation and institutions to understand what's going on with each student. We saw that, for example, in my community, they were not taking decisions based on data. So they didn't know what the young people in my community were capable of. So with OLAP, they are able, like institutions and corporations are able to understand what are the socio-emotional competencies that they already have, what are the digital skills that they have, the technical skills and vocational skills, which allows them to also recruit people from those communities that they are arriving. Thank you.
Can you maybe give us a few examples of the content? Like,
yeah.
What do the people actually learn when they use the app?
Yeah. So most of the students, they are learning science while they are also creating hydroponic systems. They are creating solar panels in their own communities. They are also creating many things. But yeah, they are also learning maths where they are doing some buildings in like structures in their own community. So they are developing real life solutions. We really want to empower them to create solutions at the same time that they are developing the skills to try.
Really nice. Thanks.
Thank you.
Tanya, thank you so much, and many congratulations on your success so far. A round of applause for our second project today. Tanya,
Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is the Young Global Changers Recoupling Awards, whether you're watching us here in Berlin or around the world. We're glad of your company today. The third project that we are looking at is Spotlight Citizen-Led Tracking. It's a social accountability initiative that uses digital technology to create transparency and empower communities. Let's see on video what it's all about.
Student-led tracking is a social accountability initiative that uses data and leverage on digital technology to empower and work with grassroots communities to demand for accountability and enhance transparency on government spending on healthcare, education, and water in rural communities. Using digital technology, we track, monitor, and document implementation of projects to ensure effective and efficient service delivery, improve access to social services, and to ensure accountable and responsive governance at all levels.
From Nigeria, please welcome Moazu Modu.
Thank you. Thank you.
Members of the jury, over to you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, phenomenal work. And, we were discussing yesterday in the panel on measuring sustainable development, the importance of having timely information, data, and alternative sources of data as well. So your project really resonated to me. One question related to the technical challenges that you're facing in terms of the data collection, but also the treatment of the data. What would be some of the technical challenges that you face through the process?
Usually, access to information, especially from the government, is really challenging. So we are leveraging of Freedom of Information Act to engage the governments to give out the information. So, you know, Africa is like a governance still immature democracy, so there are a lot of challenges. But what we do is that we understand the power of digital technology. The government people are afraid of going to media, especially on the information. So we leverage on social media to engage them and engage the rural communities to understand that this is information that government is trying to provide to their communities. Then the government will be like giving us information. And understanding this kind of challenges, we also be leveraging on the rural communities to take ownership of what we are doing. Because we alone cannot do it, because we have more than 2 million population in Nigeria, and maybe a group of 15 people cannot be able to do everything. So we are trying to bring some kind of innovation in such a way that people will take ownership of what we are doing.
Phenomenal.
That's a fantastic way to put it, because the most powerful tool that we have in our communities, and coming from Sudan, we saw the past 2.5 years with the revolution and how young people really took the streets to demand for rights. And you said that a few people can do it, but how do you engage and how do you rally up young people to join this, this kind of movement that you're building?
So basically, how we do our student-led tracking is we have stages of doing our activities. First, we have a data mining team who are responsible for mining data around project implementation in rural communities. When we got this kind of data, we have a team that go out to these communities where these projects are implemented to mobilize the young people in person and the community stakeholders to understand that this is what government is trying to do in their communities. So in the process, we mobilize the community stakeholders. So far, we have worked in 56 rural communities where we mobilize up to 500 young people and community stakeholders who are currently demanding accountability without even our support from the Spotlight for Transparency.
So if you're met with resistance from the government or from community leaders, because we do live in a very hierarchical society in our African society, so how do you navigate that resistance?
Resistance from considering the fact that we are in the immature democracy, governments are kind of victimized community stakeholders. So in this case, we are trying to use media, because media is a powerful tool to engage the decision makers, especially in Africa, because the decision makers are afraid of the media. So we basically engage them through the media platforms. We kind of have a radio and social media platforms where we discuss the implementation of projects in such a way that everything we do, we first initiate a social media campaign with the hashtag. If, assuming we are tracking, assuming health projects, we kind of use the verbs revamped, renovate, construct, we create a hashtag for that kind of communities so that we can mobilize a lot of people around this project to understand what is currently going on, to also be involved in the discussion around the project implementations.
Thank you, well done.
Thank you very much, and there we will have to leave our questioning. Mwazu, thank you so much for being with us today, and congratulations on your success so far. So project number 4 is Decarb. It's a discussion forum to foster debates on new economic thinking for a decarbonised future. Now, this finalist will join us remotely in just a moment. So we're going to see a longer video. Members of the jury, I'm afraid it means less time for questions from you, so there may just be one question from the panel. Let's see the video. Do you want to go ahead?
The climate crisis is the largest crisis humanity is facing today and in the next years. But instead of making progress, we're stalling. 10 years ago, when I was studying in London for the first time, I drove by St. Paul's Cathedral every day, where the Occupy Wall Street protesters were camping. Sitting down with them in their tent, I realized they're mad, they're angry, they're worried, but they do not propose a solution to their problem. Not much has changed as a result. We cannot let that happen again. This time must be different. We need the best ideas to solve the climate crisis. I'm not talking about the tried and tested. I'm talking about the freshest, the boldest ideas, the earth-shot ideas. Truly new economic thinking, where the obstacles and the risk of failure are high. At the Decarb Future Economy Forum, we find those ideas and connect them with the momentum on the streets. That's the value that we bring. Answering tough questions like, how does an economy function without economic growth? How can you apply economic complexity to economics? How can you test policies like pills? We want you to understand these concepts, empowering you to demand them as global citizens, whether in Germany, India, or Burkina Faso. We want to be part of the solution, the global solution. To recouple progress with prosperity for all, we need to decouple economic growth from carbon emissions, recouple profits with the planet to make this climate-critical decade a success. Come find us at decarb.world.
And Niels Handler is now waiting for your questions. Members of the jury, over to you.
Sure. Niels, nice to see you in the big screen back there. Really, really interesting idea. And I'm very curious and always curious about how do you identify these really bold, grand ideas and how do you connect them with the streets?
Thanks so much for the opportunity. Yeah, really, we look at the ideas that so far have not been implemented, have not been tested, are just being, sort of like proposed by academics, not yet being part of active policy making. And then we promote them through our event series, where we try to deliver sort of events at the level of an OECD conference. We have social media challenge. We engage sort of with all sorts of practitioners, a lot of partners and networks, and therefore try to maximize their impact in affecting lasting positive change. And so if I may say just one example of one of these ideas which so far hasn't been tried and tested is to use rigorous impact evaluations as part of climate policies in order to maximize their effectiveness, something which Rachel Glenister last night also alluded to when it comes to making development policies more effective. And for me personally, I'd really like to transfer this culture of evidence-based policymaking from developed countries to developed economies, such as my home country, Germany, and therefore help deliver traction on climate action.
Fantastic. And
one more brief question,
if I may.
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
You hit on something really important about developing countries. So coming from Sudan, which is a developing country, and climate is something that we're seeing evidently on the ground. But how do you bring these grand academic, theoretical rather, approaches to what's actually happening on the ground? Because evidence-based is important, but how do you connect it to what's actually happening in those communities?
Great, thanks so much for the question. Again, one of the next goals for me personally would be to actually implement one of these randomized controlled trials in Germany as a big, bold goal that I'd personally like to pursue with this initiative. Since so far it hasn't been done, and I think it's something which has been so far tried and tested in developing countries. So therefore, we could transfer it to a country like Germany, for it to really become a global solution per se. Thanks.
Niels Handler, thank you very much for joining us, and congratulations on your success so far. Give him a round of applause. Niels Handler. And we never say it often enough. Thank you to our members of the jury for their sterling work so far this morning as well. They don't need any applause. The glory is enough for them. So project number 5 is SINA. It's a Social Innovation Academy, teaching, mentoring and empowering disadvantaged communities and individuals in Africa. As before, let's start with a look at the video.
Oh wow, this is a lot of plastic trash just laying around here and polluting the environment. There's no proper way on how to dispose it. In SINA, we transform challenges into opportunities. Our scholars join our academies and learn how to develop creative solutions for the challenges around them. They create social enterprises, impacting the community and generating revenue for themselves.
Now, our named finalist, Meike Struffel, has been unable to join us in person today, but we are delighted that her co-founder, Etienne Solbon, is here to answer the jury's questions. So, welcome, please, Etienne Solbon. And jury members, over to you.
Great project, really impressive. Like the first thing that comes to my mind is, how do you actually join SINA? And then what are the criteria for your support?
Yeah, so we work with really marginalized communities and refugees. So there's people that have gone through difficult and traumatic experiences, people that are former child soldiers, and people that are often not easily included in society. So we find them actually mostly through referrals. So organizations that find them, someone that maybe has a lot of potential, but where she or he is cannot use the potential to build something. And those people are then empowered by us to unleash their potentials, to create social enterprises, to be able to make a change in the society. So we would call ourselves changemaker makers.
So you actually go there and approach them, like, I don't know, as a social worker maybe, and identify the people?
No, it is mostly through referrals. So it's others and community members that are alumni or current members that are making the referrals to others that, because they're not easily found. It's really the ones that need the support most. Mm-hmm. And not the typical entrepreneurs. So we transform them to be able to become social entrepreneurs.
So spreading the word and then growing with their reputation.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well done. Definitely, this is incredible. Changemaker maker. This is, from what I understand, is you're bringing in vulnerable community members. You're honing in and developing their skills and capacity. And then what next? How do they sustain themselves when they do become alumni and they're no longer part of your academy? What does the success for these young entrepreneurs look like?
Yeah, so we call it a free, responsible community approach that is self-organized. Freedom and responsibility combined. So people learn the skills and expertise they need to create their own social enterprises by actually leading the community, by taking up responsibilities in the community. So they're gaining a lot of skills and expertise hands-on. But the goal is to create social enterprises, to solve challenges in the community, in the society, for the environment. And as you have seen, for example, one of the other semi-finalists in this competition is one of our alumni as well, who's building houses out of plastic bottles, recycling, upcycling plastic waste to make houses. And another one you're going to meet in a minute is Amy Rebecca. And yeah, they have been with us, and I think the best way to understand the impact of SINA is through our changemakers.
Fantastic, thank you.
Congratulations, great project. What would be right now the main challenge that you're still facing at SINA, and what would be the main next phase for it to continue to expand its impact?
Yeah, we currently already have 50 social enterprises that have emerged over the last few years, which are still existing and creating a change. And we have currently 8 communities. So the model has been replicated by young people themselves. It's not us going anywhere and saying this is the right solution, but we look for people that want to get to know SINA and then come to us to learn how to replicate it. And we have now communities in Uganda primarily, but also in Congo and in Zimbabwe. There's Tanzania coming up, there's Cape Verde and Ghana coming up. So it is spreading and becoming like a global movement already for creating a dignified future and the young generation creating their own future for themselves. So with this, it's already happening, and the biggest challenge is rather to find more partners and youth that are interested in exploring it, and that we can have 100 communities within the next 5 years. That will be our goal.
Okay, well done.
Thank you very much. Members of the jury, thank you for your questions. Etienne Solbon, thank you for being with us today. Thank you very much. It's striking, Guillaume, that innovation keeps coming up through these different categories, and I know that's something that you are looking out for.
Yeah, absolutely. Innovations and solutions to concrete problems. Yeah, impressive.
So the next project is project number 6. It's Patapia, it's a bank for the unbanked. It gives microcredits and business mentoring to female refugees who otherwise have no access to finance and banking. This finalist also joins us remotely, so as before, we'll see a slightly longer video. Members of the jury, it means we have slightly less time for your questions. Let's see the video.
My family came to Uganda in 2010 as refugees. At just 14, I was forced to drop out of school to take care of my family. After my mother got a back problem, working as household that later left her unable to walk. I looked for how to get just 15 USD to start a tomato selling business, but I had no way to get it. With no skill, language barrier, and being a refugee, it was hard to get a job. Later, I got a job as a hawker, moving to different places, selling and only earning on commission. While hawking, I experienced two situations that completely broke my heart. I was raped twice and survived ritual sacrifice once. Like me and my mother, refugees face challenging situations. Business provides a possible way out of poverty. But unfortunately, refugees lack access to financing and the skills to run successful businesses. Patapia is saving women and girls from going through the same situation as me and my mother did. We train, mentor, and finance refugee women to start their own businesses. We know that refugees lack collateral to access mainstream financing. We designed Patapia so that refugees can access financing without requiring collateral. And by becoming a bank for the unbanked, Patapia is taking a first step for the future. We dream of creating a world where refugees are self-sustainable, and together we can get there.
And Rebecca, Eme, we are delighted that you are with us today. Thank you so much. The jury have their questions.
Sure. Brilliant project, Rebecca. Absolutely amazing. On the issues that are being discussed since yesterday all over the place, the question of refugees, the question of financing and access to financing as well. A question which is very very straightforward. How do you envisage to continue to scale up, and what would you need to actually increase your impact in your community?
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. And we really hope to expand this via creating different hubs in different places which has refugees. Because when we look at how we started small, and many refugees keeps coming to us, but when we cannot handle all of them, because we are a small startup and we don't have enough capital or enough capacity to reach them, we are looking of expanding to different refugee camps in Uganda and outside Uganda, whereby for each hub we need 50K USD, which we can use to train the first bunch of women and rent the place so that it can now run at its own. Yeah, that's how we envision. And by the end of this year, we want to have at least more 2 hubs within refugee camps in Uganda. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take one more question if we have it.
Do you want to go? Super great project, really, really impressive. What, like on a technical level, how does that actually work? Is that via cash, or do you have an application that you use for giving out the loans?
Yeah, for giving out the loans after the training and women creating their groups, we give them cash. But when they are paying back, we are in partnership with a mobile banking system, which they use to pay back the money via their phones or other mobile banking system. But for now, we are using cash. Yeah, thank you.
Rebecca, Amy, thank you so much for joining us today, and our continuing best wishes and congratulations on the success of your project, Patapia. Thank you for being with us today. Project number 7 today is Octopus Indonesia, network and digital infrastructure that connects 9,000 waste collectors to household and recycling industry. Let's see what it looks like.
Octopus Indonesia is a waste management application that efficiently collect and recycle rubbish while protecting our cleaners. Octopus promotes an environmental sustainability and economic empowerment by integrating an informal actors into an efficient waste management system.
And from Indonesia, Musawir Mutar. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Long flight here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love our flight.
So one thing that really struck me about your innovation when I was reviewing this, and it's something that, again, bringing it back to the context of Africa and Sudan, it's a really, really big issue. And with the app, it's so genius, so simple, yet I know that about 49%, which is less than half of the population in Indonesia, has access to internet.
Sure.
So again, how do you reach those who are most vulnerable in communities that need this kind of innovation the most?
Okay, thank you for the questions. So we started our project back then in 2019 in Makassar City, and in a context, Makassar City has over 2 million populations in there, and then we just started our project back in 2019 with making a pilot project there, and then we recruit more than 3,000 waste pickers and waste collectors throughout the cities, and then because our technology, we in Octopus we try to leverage the power of information technology and designs, and to make the simplest technology that so that the waste pickers or the most vulnerable one, even the users like the households or residents, can use our app with with this more simplicity things kind of stuff with the UI or user interface and user experience as well. Yeah.
Well done. Thank you.
So just to understand it really, so you actually are like a matchmaker. You match the households and the waste pickers, or are you also paying the waste pickers and doing all the logistics behind that?
Okay, that's a very great question. So actually, what we are doing in Octopus is that like both. We also, we trying to connect the waste pickers, the existing waste pickers, like in Indonesia we call it scavengers, or the small waste pickers, with the household or residents or whatever, like not only household or not only residents, but also all people who produce waste, rubbish, or all people who has the waste, so that the people or the users can use the app to find the nearby waste collectors or waste picker for waste pickup. And also not only like at the level of residentials, but also we launch our new features, which is business to business features, so that like restaurants, cafes, hotels can also request for waste pickup to the hotels or restaurants or hotels, something like that.
So that sounds that it's a project that is kind of easy scalable, right? Because you could apply in different areas.
We started in 2019 in Makassar City with only 2,000 users, and now we are at the 4th year when we already solidifying our presence in 6 cities in Indonesia, providing over 100,000 professional services to over 100,000 users throughout the country. Yeah, and this year we're also expanding our project in Jakarta, the capital city of Indonesia. And for the next 3 years, we have a plan to make expansions into other Southeast Asian countries such as Hong Kong, also Singapore and Vietnam.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. Jury, thank you for your questions. Masuya Mutar, our congratulations on your success, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The project number 8 of the day is Climatize. It's a fintech app that helps invest spare change of climate-concerned individuals and put that money into sustainable impact investments. Let's see how it looks in practice.
Hey there, I'm Alba, and I have eco-anxiety. I've changed my diet, I travel in a more sustainable way, and shifted to eco-friendly products. But still, I feel like that's not enough. That's why I decided to start a personal project, Climatize, built for all of us who want to make a difference. If you want to take climate action and earn money at the same time while helping low middle income and underserved communities, follow us and stay tuned. Let's make every transaction an investment in climate action.
So, from Spain, welcome, please, Alba Forns.
Alba, congratulations. Great project initiative. My question is simple. Could you walk us through the process for, how do you select the right projects to support?
Sure, exactly. That's actually my favorite topic, so I'm glad you asked. So the way we do this is we connect with communities and we reach out to the projects directly. So for example, we work with cooperatives in the United States and also in developing countries, while at the same time we work with the Department of Energy, with NYSERDA, the New York State Research and Development Authority, as well with NREL, National Renewable Energy Labs. So through those associations, we reach out to projects directly, and then we go through a due diligence process to make sure that these projects are good for the environment, but at the same time, they're good for the people as well.
And just to go off of that, how do you market and motivate people? How do you attract people? Because yes, you can go out and look for projects that are interesting, but how do you also market that if I have a project, how do I find you?
Yes, so through these associations, actually, there's a marketplace where they connect projects who are looking for funding. So there's a big problem here because small projects normally do not have access to capital. What happens is banks focus on larger projects, which are more profitable, and we're looking for those projects that right now do not have access to capital and cannot move from actually an idea to a reality. So those projects are actually right now reaching out to us, which is pretty exciting. And yes, we reach out through them this way.
So in a way, if I understand it correctly, it's a little bit like a crowdfunding thing, right? If they reach out to you and you provide, you connect the people to donate, that's right. Yeah, very nice. And I also see, I like how you select the projects that you support. Is there a way that if I use the app and I put my spare change into these projects, that I don't know, get information about the projects or how it's going on. So somehow create more awareness and seeing how projects evolve, maybe getting own ideas. If I'm just giving change, it's one thing, but if can I engage as a user?
Yes, definitely. If we were only an investment app, this would be definitely a failure. We are about behavioral change as well, and we want to educate people. We want people to know about the climate crisis. We want to allow people to know about how to invest and to make that easy. So we want to create a movement, not only a community. So we share a lot of information about the projects. We have a direct channel where you can ask the project developers what's going on, and we even plan for people to go to the site and actually see it with their own eyes, which we think that can be very beautiful at the same time as well.
Yeah, that's a fantastic way to put it. So in all of this, what do you see some of the biggest challenges you're navigating right now in scaling this forward?
The first one is regulation. I would say it's regulation just because to be an investment app, you have to go through a lot of regulatory hurdles. So that's what we're doing right now. And the next one is scaling, just because we are about collective action and we need a lot of people to contribute in order to reach the scale that is needed to have a big impact. So those are the two things we are actually working on right now.
Thank you.
Members of the jury, thank you very much for your questions. Alba-Fons, or congratulations. Thank you for being with us today. Our ninth and penultimate project today is Peace Crops, providing training for agricultural and gardening skills for orphans and victims of armed conflict. Our finalists will join us in a moment remotely from Cameroon. So we will see a longer video first of all, and then we'll have some truncated questions from the jury. Let's see the video.
My name is Njeke Joshua from Cameroon, and I'm the founder of the social venture known as Peace Crops. Why peace and why crops? The growing civil unrest in Cameroon is prompting the displacement of population, loss of lives and properties, and exacerbating humanitarian problems. These humanitarian problems is preventing a large number of people who are now internally displaced from accessing their fundamental needs, such as food, clean water, and a safe shelter. A civil unrest is bad, but it is a crime against humanity from denying women and children their right to their basic needs and also education. Our beneficiaries are suffering from hunger, malnutrition, unemployment, and stigmatization, and also marginalization. All these horrible happenings inspired our Peace Crops social venture, where our organization is empowering victims of the civil unrest, especially orphans and marginalized women from these affected communities. We are ensuring self-sustainable food production by working alongside our beneficiaries to create organic food gardens. With this, we are creating food gardens in orphanage spaces, in community lands like the one you see behind me, around houses, and our beneficiaries are able to cultivate and produce their own food, therefore reducing hunger and also dependency on donations. We also try to ensure and to offer interactive life skill training sessions where we give the opportunity to our beneficiaries to acquire leadership skills, improve on their confidence, and also on their self-esteem. At the end of our training, we try as much as possible to fund the projects of our beneficiaries so that they themselves can go create their own businesses and own their own farms.
And we're delighted that Nyeke Joshua Egbe joins us now from Cameroon. Welcome, sir. Thank you for your time today. The judges are waiting with their questions.
If I may, I'll go ahead and ask. I really, really love that you're using agriculture as a tool for peace building, and you have an emphasis on displaced communities. And often what we've seen, again, bringing it back to the context that I'm familiar with, when there is displacement and refugee context, there are people from different walks, different communities coming together in one place. How do you integrate social cohesion in this project of agriculture? Because if you're bringing communities from the north, the south, from different countries are all in one place and you're implementing this project, there could be a bit of tension or potentially conflict between these communities. So what's a social cohesion aspect to ensure that you are having a team building, tighter bond when people are working together? Just kind of talk me through with the peace building process.
Okay, thank you very much. The Peace Crops project, actually, we are working with 13 rural communities at the moment that are harboring internally displaced orphans and women. So the aspect of the civil unrest in Cameroon is kind of a difficult situation to explain because there is a civil unrest, which means the crisis is between mostly the Anglophone-speaking Cameroonians and the English and the French-speaking Cameroonians. So my project is taking place in the English-speaking part of Cameroon, where the civil unrest has really been terrible, and particularly in my community, where the civil unrest has really taken for the 5 past years, it's been terrible. So I mostly work with, I created an eco-friendly training center where I try as much as possible to bring in victims of the civil unrest to come to the center. That's where we try as much as possible to conduct our trainings. Then for the orphanages that are in other community areas, we try as much as possible to reach the orphanages because truly most orphanages have increased in population and food has been a problem. So we try as much as possible to go to these orphanages where we try to create the food gardens for them.
Nyeki Joshua Egbert, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you. And our continuing congratulations on your success. Members of the jury, thank you for your questions. And the final project, project number 10, is Cuba Coffee. It's a fully circular coffee delivery. 100% of the profits go to coffee growers and climate projects. It encourages world positive coffee. Let's see what that means.
Hello Global Solutions Summit, my name is Bree and I'm a co-founder at Cuba, a Sydney-based social enterprise that works in coffee. But what's unique about our service is we are both operationally and financially circular. Operationally, this means we deliver in reusable packaging and collect all of the spent coffee grounds for repurposing, a nice, neat, closed-loop system. Financially, all of our profits circle back to the region where our coffee is grown to help local organisations build climate resilience. So yeah, operationally and financially circular. Thanks for having me.
And if you didn't know already, there is probably nothing more important to Australians outside of rugby than coffee. Welcome, please, Brianna Kerr.
Hello.
Hello, Brianna. Congratulations. Phenomenal business model, initiative. And we discussed it a little bit yesterday morning, also those impacts generated through the consumption, many times consumption in rich countries that generate impacts abroad, right? So at the country level, I don't have the data in mind for Australia, but we know in the EU that responsible for about 16 or 17% of deforestation, 40% of our CO2 emissions are generated abroad. Even socially, to satisfy our consumption of textiles, for instance, it's 400 people that die every year and 20,000 people that get injured. So we've done a lot of work at SDSN and working with a lot of partners. So that's why your project resonated quite a bit. I'd like to ask you, what do you see on the coffee supply chains as the major challenges in order to make it truly sustainable? And maybe, while answering to this, how, in Cuba, you've been able to address those issues?
Yeah, I think coffee is one of those commodities that around the world everyone knows. It's a really, I would say, really around the world for that, there's been massive movements like fair trade, and it's well known that there's a lot of exploitation in coffee supply chains. In terms of currently what the greatest challenges are in the supply chain, I think that there's two. The long-held one, which is exploitation. A lot of coffee crops are grown in, countries that were colonized by the West, and there's a lot of issues because of that still persist, and then climate change. So it's predicted that by 2050, 50% of the world's coffee growing regions will be wiped out. Most of the coffee in the world is grown by smallholder farmers, so people most vulnerable to the effects of climate change. And so, yeah, I think that they are the two biggest challenges. In building Cuba, we essentially respond to those two challenges in our business model. So it's not only about sourcing ethically, which we have quite a robust framework around, which we've worked with many people to develop, and essentially it goes into lots of different aspects of the issues in coffee, whether it be price, whether it be gender, whether it be the volatility of pricing, all of these different indicators, and then we measure regions based on that, and that's who we partner with. At the moment, our primary import partner is Uganda, but working closer to home now as well in Papua New Guinea and Indonesia too. So that's kind of how we do it. And then on the climate change side, to respond to that issue, it's very much about reinvesting our profits, so redistributing value in the value chain, and redistributing profits to local organisations who are doing climate resilience work on the ground. So local solutions that give people agency to, I suppose, respond to the issues of climate change.
Brilliant.
Fantastic. So, Brianna, oftentimes in sub-Saharan Africa and farming communities, and I done a lot of similar work in Tanzania as well, you see that women are the ones who are manning the farms, but yet men are the ones who are taking the commodities to the markets, and they're the ones that are getting paid, essentially. So how do you really emphasize the gender component? What is the gender empowerment aspect in Cuba, and how much of it is actually supporting local women farmers?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. So, and we had a really good conversation about this the other day. So it's a massive issue around, particularly in the area where we grow coffee, around 70% of the coffee is picked and farmed by women, but generally it's about 90% of men who collect the cash at the farm gate. And we experience that every year when we go. So like I mentioned before, we have an ethical sourcing framework, and one of those dimensions is gender. So the way that we are, measuring impact at the moment, and it's very much an area that we're focusing on, is looking at household income and then how money is being spent within the household. So that's the key indicator at the moment. The two cooperatives that we work with in Uganda, in terms of their data, one is better than the other in terms of their gender equity and kind of their approach to gender. So our primary direct trade partner, it's not quite equal, but about 40% of the women at the farm gate arrive to collect cash, and the remainder are men. So that's really, really high compared to other regions, and that was a major reason as to why we partnered with them as our primary partner.
Thank you.
Judges, thank you for your questions. Brianna Kerr, or continuing congratulations, and thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you. And that, folks, are our 10 finalists or judges. First of all, let's give them all a round of applause just to say thank you. Getting to this stage is a tremendous achievement in itself. So well done and congratulations to all of you, and thank you for being with us today. The jury is now going to make their final deliberation. This is not an easy choice, is it? On a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is difficult,
100.
where would you put it? Yeah. So they're going to have their final discussions. We'll mute their microphones while they are doing so. Let me invite to the stage Uli Spies. He's returning to the stage. Also joining us, the president of Global Solutions, Professor Dennis Snower. Gentlemen, both of you, welcome to the stage. Let's give them a round of applause, please. Quick reaction to what you saw.
Yes, wow. I have to say, I mean, I've been with these people for a few days. I've talked to them via Zoom and other means throughout the last weeks, and I'm so impressed by what all of you are doing. And every time someone stepped onto the stage and I said, wow, that's a winner. And I said it again and again and again and again. And one thing, I got to say, I do not want to be in the place of the jury having to decide on the 3 winners, and I'm really looking forward to learning what they are going to be. But first of all, I'm delighted to have our president, Dennis Snower, with us. Dennis, what do you think, what we've just seen?
Thank you very much, Ole, and thank you, Declan, for this excellent moderation. I think if we look at the things on a micro level, it's impressive, as the jury has kept repeating. But then there is a macro story to be told, and I'd like to tell the story that has emerged in my mind and my heart when listening to this. If I am to summarize what all these presentations have in common, in one word, then it would be empowerment. It empowers people to do something for the environment and for social solidarity and cohesion. And in that way, it brings to life a central aspect of what Global Solutions stands for, which is the recoupling of economic prosperity with social and environmental prosperity. And I think it's important to understand the significance of what we've just heard at this macro level, because there are three main pillars of the environment in which we live. There is the market in which we transact, and the market decides the distribution of material resources. And then there is the state that decides the distribution of power. And the market, if you just focus on that, then you're focused on making money. And young global changers 10 years ago or 20 years ago would have said, here's an app, and I want to make a lot of money with this app. This is a very different story that we've heard. And if you look at government, we have outsourced much of our social responsibility, at least in the West, to the state, the responsibility for social welfare and so on. And the voice we are hearing here is, in addition to the market, in addition to the state, we have society, bottom up, a moral voice that stands for the social aspect, social cohesion, and our natural world. And whether it is peace crops or circular coffee, or whether it is preventing harvest, making up harvest losses, or giving people what they want to learn, teaching them that, or transparency for government, or new thinking that connects with action on the street, or creating social enterprises for marginalized communities, or banking for refugees, or waste collection that connects with households, or fintech, climatize. All these things have this in common. It is a moral voice coming bottom up that helps humanize the market and the state. And if you could connect that with global solutions and spread the word, then you're doing something terribly important. I'm sorry I've talked too long.
That's fantastic, Dennis Snower. Thank you so much for sharing that insight with us as well. Let's give Dennis a round of applause. Thank you so much. Well, let's bring our judges back in. Are they going to tell us the result, or do you have the answers in your back pocket?
The judges will come. We can ask them back on stage, but let me just briefly build on what Dennis just said, because I think that is the key point that Professor Snower just said when we talk about your impact here at Global Solutions. Because what we want to do is help connect these bottom-up initiatives to top-down policies in some way. And I would like to invite all our young global changers, everyone in the community, and the business leaders, the politicians, the policy makers, to let us know how we can actually bring bottom up and top down together, recouple the two for global solutions.
Thank you very much. We now have some money to give out, so judges, if you can return, please. The judges are going to tell us the 3 winners that they have selected. We're going to do it in reverse order, so we will start with the recipient of the 3rd place award, and the financial implications of this is €1,000 in money. 3rd place is?
Well, I'm very proud to announce that the 3rd place of the Young Global Changers Recoupling Award goes to Tanja Rossa's project, Fundación El Origen.
thank you. Second place, please.
And the second place goes to Brian Aker for Cuba. Congratulations. Well done. Yeah.
And that leaves just one, who is our winner.
And you get €5.
That's not a bribe. That fell out of someone's pocket. I noticed whose pocket it was. I'll give it back to her.
I am incredibly, incredibly proud to give the winner for the first prize to Aquafresh, Matthias.
Me in congratulating once again our third, second and first place winners here today from our Young Global Changers. Give them a round of applause. And congratulations to all of our finalists who are here in the room today, who have joined us remotely as well. We are so grateful to them for the work that they do. I know you'll join me in thanking our jury. I'm Declan Curry. The next session at Global Solutions will begin shortly. Thank you very much.